kuna mawe inatupwa the other side. Ineno kipati moreno ya Korogut. Ineno kipati moreno. Nyithindo kap. Tupa mawe huko.
Ndio tabu tunamrekodia live.
Jogi
asizo chukua jana.
Ndio hii sasa mbogi. Ndio hii mbogi. Hii sasa ni ile ya kung'oa milango. Ndio hii mbogi sasa. Ndio hii mbogi. Ndio hii mbogi. One time.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kenya is more divided now than before. Because if you meet a typical Kenyan today, almost all of us live in fear. We either live in fear of one another or the fear of the security apparatus. Because it has come to a moment which a Kenyan cannot share his political opinion openly without looking into his surrounding and to identify who is around him or her. If you talk your mind in challenging or criticizing the government, then you live in the fear of being abducted or being killed. And if you support the government or you say anything that sounds like supporting what the government is doing, then you are also living in the fear of being seen as the government puppet. So we are at crossroad, and as a country, we need to make a choice. We need to make a decision which will make us move forward. And if we continue in this direction, then in 2027, we will not have a country. And I will say this based on the last demonstration, the Saba Saba, and the one that was done on 25th June. And on those two demonstrations, I can tell you that there is a direction in which these demonstrations are now taking. They are no longer people-owned demonstrations, but there are demonstrations which are owned by some people with certain interest other than the people's interest. You know, 2024 June gave us a doorway to our future. And out of that, we could have seized the opportunity to transform this country. But as usual, the event was overtaken by the political class or the other interest. And those interests, I will mention them. What I realized is that in Kenya and worldwide, human being is a very big resource. And that is the battle in Kenya right now. Because initially, the political class was banking on Kenyans. They were using Kenyans as the resource to transact their political interest and to create wealth for themselves and to create positions for themselves. Because anytime we would enter into any violence post-election, we would create handshakes, we would create corporations, we would create positions to dish out to politicians to share unto themselves. Then we would assume that the interest of the people has been taken care of. But that is not the case today. The case today is that this resource called human being has been wrestled from the politicians and right now are in the hands of the activists. The activists who are controlling the game now are called the commercial activists. They are activists who have something. When these demonstrations take place, people are killed or properties are destroyed or even bodily injuries, then they get some mileage. That is what I have learned. And that is why, if you want to know that this is a game of the battle of the people between the citizen, between the activists and the politicians, you will hear the current activists who are championing for this demonstration and protest attacking Raila Odinga and William Ruto too much than any other politician. Because initially it was assumed that Raila Odinga controlled the masses and he was the only person who could hold this country hostage and call a holiday, and that holiday happens without any gazette notice. But that now cannot happen because the human rights realize that Kenyans have taken back the power. They have the power unto themselves, which it is arrogated into the constitution, that power belongs to the people, and the people can donate the power or surrender the power. So the Kenyans have taken back the power, and they did it on the 25th June. And once the political class realized that the people of Kenya took the power, they grouped themselves somewhere to reorganize themselves and to strategize. Then the activist seized the opportunity to pretend and to masquerade as the voice of the people. And right now, they are doing business with this protest. Let me ask you, if this protest, the last two were genuine, why ban at the Maguna supermarket in Meru, a supermarket that employ the locals? Why would they go and ban it? For what benefit would they get? Or how will that affect Ruto? That is something that we must ask ourselves. Why go to Kajiado, sub-county hospital, and in Kitengela, and vandalize equipment, destroy, kill everything, beat the patients? How does that affect William Ruto? These patients, are they not our brothers, our sisters, our kins, our fellow countrymen? Why would we do that? Why would one go to a court of law where we've kept our document, the sensitive document that you can't even trust unto yourself, you can't trust even your wife or your husband with, even your children? You keep them in a court of law where they are safe. Then somebody go and burn those documents, something like a title deed, a logbook. How does that affect William Ruto? So this is something that we must know, that it is not our battle. This battle is the battle of power, and it's a competition of who controls the people. So right now, when we took this power back to us, the politicians did not accept it. They were upset, and they had sworn into themselves that they must do something. And the current demonstrations are not people-owned demonstrations, as much as we organize it for ourselves, but they have been overtaken and infiltrated with the agents of these politicians. I know most of these facilities and properties that are destroyed are not for the ordinary Kenyans. They are for certain people in certain high positions in government, or in one way or the other, they are linked to these properties. Because why would one destroy his fellow countryman's property? A person who is just struggling. And McHugh, some of these investments employ some of us. Do you realize that this is not our battle? Because if Ruto was to go, even if he was to go now, where will we start if we ban this country? It means we are going to make life more harder for the person who is going to come. Because if we gave Ruto only 2 years, then we started fighting him, and we destroy this economy and leave it vandalized, then we put our own. Then we will also become impatient with this our own. Then we will go back to the street. And at the end of the day, we will not have a country here. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is a time that we need now to re-strategize. Use this information that we have, this the technical know-how, the professionalism, and the connection that we have, to ensure that in 2027, we don't vote in the following direction. We don't vote emotionally. We don't vote ethnically. We don't vote on political parties' line, but we vote with our heads high, with our conscience, knowing very well what we want and who can steer these reforms. And then we will have a country. But if we continue this way, as I saw the Nation newspaper today printed a headline with some writings and pictures, and it speaks a volume in the direction in which these protests are taking. So we must be wise, or else we are going to start blaming one another again, as we are doing now. Because those who never voted for Ruto are telling those who voted for Ruto that you are the cause. And those who voted for Ruto are also telling those who did not vote for Ruto that they should join them. So, ladies and gentlemen, we need to rethink about what we want. And if we don't, then we are going to create anarchy in this country, and this country will not be governable now and even in the future. Thank you, and may God bless you.